He tried to take over Earth. He got smashed into the floor by the Hulk. He betrayed his brother about 100 times. He died. He came back. He died again. And then he became the most selfless hero in the entire MCU. This is the complete story of Loki. From the day he was born to the moment he sacrificed everything to save every universe that has ever existed. And honestly, it might be the greatest character arc Marvel has ever written. Loki has appeared in more Marvel projects than almost any other character. 9 movies and shows across 13 years. Every single time he surprised us. In this video, I'm going to walk you through his entire journey from beginning to end. Every twist, every betrayal, every moment that changed him. And by the end, I think you'll understand why so many people call Loki the best character the MCU has ever created. Let's start at the very beginning. The very first thing you need to know about Loki is that his entire life was built on a lie. In the first Thor movie, we find out that Loki is not actually Asgardian. He was born a frost giant, the son of Laufey, the king of a race that Asgard considered its enemy. Odin found Loki as a baby, abandoned in the cold, and took him home. He raised him as his own son. He gave him love, education, and power. But he never told Loki the truth. So Loki grew up his entire life believing he was the prince of Asgard, competing with his brother Thor for their father's approval, always feeling like something was slightly wrong, always feeling slightly less than Thor without knowing why. And then he found out. The moment Loki discovers the truth is devastating. He wasn't just lied to about his species, he was lied to about his entire identity. Everything he thought he was, everything he believed about himself and his family was a performance, and that discovery cracked something inside him that never fully healed. This is important because everything Loki does after this moment, every scheme, every betrayal, every horrible decision, comes from this wound. He is not evil, he is broken, and there is a difference. After finding out the truth, Loki spirals. He tries to prove himself by doing something massive. He plots to destroy the Frost Giants, his own biological people, to prove his loyalty to Asgard. It goes terribly wrong. He falls from the Bifrost and disappears into space. And when he comes back changed. In the Avengers, Loki arrives on Earth with an alien army and a plan to conquer the world. He wants a throne. He wants to be in charge. He wants more than anything to matter. This is where most people met Loki for the first time. And honestly, he is phenomenal as a villain. Charming, theatrical, funny, dangerous. He fights the Hulk, he fights Iron Man, and he gives a speech about how humans were made to kneel. But even here, if you watch closely, something is off. He doesn't feel like pure evil. He feels like someone performing evil. Like someone who decided that if the world wouldn't give him love, he would take control instead. The Avengers defeat him. Thor takes him back to Asgard in chains, and Loki ends up in a prison cell. In Thor, the Dark World, Loki is still in that prison cell. He's been there for years. And then something happens that breaks through his walls completely. Their mother, Frigga, is killed. Frigga was the one person who loved Loki unconditionally. She taught him magic, she visited him in his cell, and when she dies protecting someone else, Loki breaks down in a way we have never seen before. The grief is real. The mask slips completely. And for the first time, we see Loki not as a villain or a trickster, but just as a son who lost his mother. Thor comes to him with an impossible mission. They need to work together to stop the villain who killed Frigga. And for a brief moment, the brothers are brothers again. At the end of the mission, Loki appears to die saving Thor's life. He takes a sword for his brother. He looks up at Thor and says, "Is this not a better ending?" He dies believing he is finally doing something good. He dies a hero in that moment. Except, and this is very Loki, he doesn't actually die. He faked it. He took over Asgard in disguise. So even his heroic moment had a trick hidden inside it. He's not ready yet, but the cracks are showing. By Ragnarok, Loki has been secretly ruling Asgard for years, disguised as Odin. He's living comfortably, watching plays about himself, enjoying the good life. Then Hela arrives and destroys everything. Asgard falls. Their home is gone. Something shifts in Ragnarok. Loki and Thor are stranded together on a strange planet run by Jeff Goldblum. For the first time in years, they're just brothers again. They bicker, they joke, there's real warmth between them. And at the end, when everything is falling apart, Loki shows up with a ship full of Asgardian survivors. He didn't run. He came back. Thor looks at him and says, "You really are the worst, brother." And Loki smiles. But he came back. That matters. This is the moment that defines everything. At the very beginning of Infinity War, Thanos attacks the Asgardian refugee ship. He beats Thor nearly to death. He has all the power. And then Loki steps forward. He offers the Space Stone to Thanos. He acts like he is surrendering. He says, "I, Loki, Prince of Asgard, I am the rightful king of Jotunheim, son of Laufey. I am burdened with glorious purpose." He's doing his speech, his classic villain routine, and then he lunges at Thanos with a dagger. It doesn't work. Thanos catches his hand and kills him, right there, in front of Thor. But here is what matters. Loki knew the attack wouldn't work. He's fought Thanos before. He knows how powerful he is. He did it anyway. He died trying to protect his brother. The god of mischief died as a hero. And unlike every other time Loki appeared to die, this time it was real. Thor screams. And if you didn't cry, you're lying. Part 6. A Second Chance, Loki. Season 1, 2021. But remember in Endgame, when the Avengers traveled back in time and accidentally let Loki escape with the Tesseract? That Loki, the 2012 villain version, gets picked up by the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, Time Police. They show him a screen. His entire life plays out in front of him. The betrayals, the grief, the growth, his mother dying, his father dying, his own death protecting Thor. He sees all of it in about 10 minutes. It completely breaks him open. The version of himself he was supposed to become, the one who sacrificed everything, is right there on that screen. And it changes him. In Season 1, Loki meets Sylvie, a female version of himself from another timeline. She's been running from the TVA her entire life. She's angry, tough, and deeply alone. Sound familiar? Together they uncover the truth about the TVA and the man behind it all. He who remains. The person who created the entire system to control time. For the first time, Loki isn't scheming for a throne. He's fighting for someone else. Season 2 is where Loki's story reaches its peak. He begins time slipping, getting pulled uncontrollably between the past, present, and future. He can't control it. He can't stop it. Every time he tries to fix things, the multiverse gets worse. He watches his friends die. He watches the TVA collapse. He watches every timeline get erased. Over and over again, he tries different solutions, and over again, everything falls apart. And then he makes the choice. Loki walks through a deadly time storm alone. He reaches the temporal loom, the machine that was supposed to organize all the timelines, and he destroys it because he realizes the machine was never big enough to hold an infinite multiverse. Only a person can do that. He grabs every single timeline in his hands, all of them, the entire multiverse, and he holds them together like branches of a great tree. He sits down on a throne at the end of all time, alone, keeping every reality alive. He becomes the god of stories, not the god of mischief, not a king. A protector, someone who carries the weight of every universe so that everyone else can live freely, never knowing his name, never knowing what he did. The boy who wanted a throne ended up holding something far greater and giving it all away. He sits there alone for eternity, so others don't have to. And now, with Avengers, Doomsday coming, Loki's story might not be over. Doctor Doom's plan involves the multiverse, conquering it, rewriting it, and the one being standing in the way of anyone who wants to control all of reality is the god of stories himself, Loki, sitting on his throne at the end of time. For Doom to win, he might have to go through Loki first, which means the character who started this whole saga as the very first Avengers villain could end up being the last line of defense against the biggest villain the MCU has ever seen. 14 years ago, Loki tried to conquer Earth. Now he might be the one saving every Earth that has ever existed. That's not just a good character arc. That is one of the greatest stories ever told in superhero movies. So there you have it, the full Loki story. He started as a lost boy built on a lie. He became a villain seeking power. He lost his mother and felt real grief. He died and came back and died again. He watched his own life on a screen and chose to be better. And in the end, he sacrificed everything, not for a throne, not for glory, but for billions of lives that would never even know his name. The god of mischief became the god of stories, and he did it completely alone. Drop in the comments, do you think Loki is the best character arc in MCU history? Because I genuinely do. And I want to know if you agree. If this video made you feel something, hit like. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe for more Marvel deep dives every week. I'll see you in the next one.